Hey everybody, it's Jillian. Don't mind my dresser. Sometimes it gets messy because I don't feel like folding the clothes. I just feel like throwing them on top of my dresser. And mess my hair is a little insane. So yeah, the last couple days, so I got my period a couple weeks ago, right? And I said I didn't really feel anything. Okay. So that was weird. That was like a super anomaly because usually I would feel like sick that day and I would need to have to rest. And I would maybe have a sign of something happened the day before. So a couple weeks ago, nothing like that. So the last couple days, I've been dealing with the period. Now, I didn't know it was going to happen. It just happened. And then I actually felt sick. But what is sick? Again, like I said, sick is evolution. But what is sick? It's tired. Maybe a little bit irritable, hormonal a little bit. And then after a couple days of feeling tired, like run down, then in the middle of the night, like tonight, like this morning around 1 o'clock in the morning, I am blowing my nose and coughing, like getting rid of the excess antibodies. And these are antibodies that are agonist antibodies, and these are antagonist antibodies. So, I go outside. My husband is out almost every single day in different neighborhoods doing stuff. And so, yeah, he brings home like everything under the sun. Why he doesn't have any real symptoms, he might feel tired, but he doesn't have real symptoms is because his body is absorbing it, and the energy of being exposed to new variants is just going to age him. He might feel aches and pains here and there. He doesn't say too much about them, but it's not like he's escaping the evolution. Oh, he's evolving, but he really is devolving. So that's the aging process. The aging process is when you haven't fixed the back end, healed and sealed. And the body is taking on evolution, yes. And that evolution could be being exposed to a variant in the environment. That evolution could be a vaccine. Okay, that evolution could be being exposed to someone who was just vaccinated, yes. However, the action potential behind the evolution, behind that life that you're given, let's say as a baby, or even as a person in the middle of life, or even as an elderly person, if you don't have enough of what it takes to handle that evolution, then the body goes into de-evolution. But it accelerates. Because again, it's thermodynamics. It's the second law of thermodynamics. And then it's also Newton's third law of motion. Or no, Newton's first law of motion. What is in motion stays in motion. And yeah, for every action is the equal opposite reaction. But that's not really appropriate. But it's Newton's first law, I think. So anyways, so I finally figured out. So what would why people are loving the vaccine so much, why they go after them so much, because it does have specific growth properties that will allow someone to kind of, to be able to adapt and be able to have some kind of like transition, but that action potential is also then going to give a person a predisposition. But if you're strong, you can handle the slight predispositions. You might get an allergy later on when the body finally wears down, but that allergy will then turn into like a cancer disease and chronic illness. Okay? And so that's why we had such a population boom. As soon as the vaccines were invented, that's when they were saving lives, yes, but with a price, with a predisposition. And so that's how come your body is so controlled, like your life is so controlled, because the antagonist antibodies and the agonist antibodies, they work in conjunction. Now, antagonist antibodies don't exactly kill right on contact. They do and they don't. What they do is they atrophy the cells that have been exposed to the new variant. So you still get the evolution, yes. You still get the upgrade, the innovation. Because even those that have been vaccinated who have major predispositions are still upgraded. But parts of their body they don't work. Just like Stephen Hawking. If Stephen Hawking hadn't been exposed to vaccines and modern medicine and biotech, he wouldn't be alive. Stephen Hawking would not survive Africa. Okay? Stephen Hawking would not survive Africa. Most people in our society in America, the greatest experiment, would not survive a place like Africa. Because the amount of viruses, yes, the amount of how aggressive the environment, whether it's heat, whether it's just all the stress of Darwinian type of culture, okay, a lot of political unrest, a lot of uncertainty in parts of Africa, not every part, like South Africa seems to be okay, but the other parts of Africa, oh my gosh, not everyone would survive, especially in America. Okay, so the fact that we have something like a first world where everything is controlled, and yeah, you're freed on some level, but what has given us the first world innovation is the fact that we're able to harness viruses, take that data, inject it or release it into the atmosphere, and then watch people evolve. But not everyone's going to take to the evolution. And so finally I figured out the reason why we have so much infrastructure is because it takes infrastructure to handle the evolution. You need a super support system for that kind of evolution. So even if you didn't vaccinate your kids, they're still exposed to the atmosphere. The fact that they survived says already they have strong genetics. They probably would have survived the vaccinations, but then yes, the side effects might have accelerated their predispositions or made it more exacerbated. But still, they're not going to escape the inevitable if you haven't changed their biochemistry. So even not vaccinating your kids is not the answer because they're still exposed to the environment. You're still going to catch it like I catch it. I caught it the last couple of days and my eggs dropped. That's why I understand about now why my period is what it is, or why everyone's period is what it is. It's a point of evolution. Why you feel sick on your period. Yeah, it's evolution. And the more that you need to evolve, the more sick you become until the body doesn't have any more energy to try to evolve you. Okay? So just simply not getting a vaccine is not going to help you. Getting a vaccine is not going to help you if you don't have what it takes to handle the atmosphere. Now, it's not even just the viruses that have been released purposely or accidentally. It's also the grid. It's also, it's also in the vaccines. All of those are action potential. All the electricity, the transducers, every single, even a crowd of people, which is full of energy, could put somebody over the edge. Because it is generated electricity when you are around a bunch of people. Because yes, it's the viruses and what people are leaving behind, the excess. And the excess of the antibodies is not only antagonist antibodies, also agonist antibodies. That's why viruses are able to mutate, because they take a little bit of data from each person they infect, and then they go and evolve them, and then the excess proteins of both sides are then released into the atmosphere or, on the surfaces. Somebody else who picks it up, maybe they don't really have that genetic data yet, so when they take on that genetic data, they may be asymptomatic, or they may become symptomatic later on when the body finally goes through its processes, like I did last night. I was coughing up everything. I was blowing my nose. I felt kind of weird the last couple days. Okay? I was definitely very tired. But then what was the kicker was the eggs dropping. That's what really threw me for a loop, was the fact that I caught a virus and then my eggs dropped. I'm like, holy shit. That confirms my theory about viruses and reproduction and fertility. Okay? And so every single time, yes, you get a vaccine with new variants, and every single time a new virus is released, every single time you're around a person who you don't know or know, and you don't know what they've been exposed to, you don't know who they've been around. Same thing like, when you were told about the AIDS virus, you don't know who's been with who, so wear a condom and put foam and whatever, right? That's the same thing. Okay? That is going to then evolve your body, of which then on a very sensitive body like mine, who's like the canary in the coal mine, will drop a freaking egg because now this is the new environment. And so here's a baby, if it was to get fertilized for the new environment. So if my husband really wanted to inseminate me, he could have. And we would have a new baby for every single freaking new virus that has been exposed in our environment. So until people stop mutating viruses, until they stop releasing viruses, okay, my period is not going to stop. If anything, I'll probably keep dropping eggs until 7 billion turn into 500 freaking million. So I have evolving evolution to look forward to for the next 50 years. Because remember, Agenda 30, Agenda 21, right? Agenda 21, that's like this year. Agenda 30, Agenda 2050, America 2050, okay? All of that's in the future. This is what I have to look forward to, but at least now I could do it on a very clear head. Okay, I'll have to make time to go to sleep when I'm tired. I'll have to make time to just chill out. Right now it's kind of hell writing this book and being tired and having all these ideas and trying to put everything together, but I could do it. But it's crazy, okay? But just so you understand that yes, the viruses and the vaccines do upgrade you, but on a weak person, it's for a price. And the price is predispositions, of which then, if you're not taking care of your predispositions, over time they become compound predispositions. And in every generation that doesn't correct the biochemistry will experience major glitches from innovation. So that's why there's a reset, because eventually you exploit all the resources in your current control group, which is our current belief systems, the old world, where everyone's using shamanic herbs and extracts and holistic remedies to suppress evolution. Because that's what's going to happen. When people take the vaccine or they get exposed to a virus and they feel the evolution, then they go take all their remedies. They're taking their Advil. They're taking their ibuprofen. I'm watching people on my Facebook who said, oh yeah, I just got the vaccine. Oh, I felt some symptoms. So I'm taking daily my Tylenol and my Advil and my ibuprofen and all this painkiller. And I'm just like, what the fuck? But I know who they are. They're still bought into the system. They're on their way out the door. Those are some of the dinosaurs out there that will take the vaccine, which evolves you with predispositions, of course, and then still take, the evolution suppressors like the Advil and then all their different supplements and their vitamin A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then zinc and all that stuff. So it's going to just be counterproductive, really, in the scheme of things. So you could, if you're doing the J juice, you could do the vaccine. You could go out there without a mask and you'd be fine. Yeah, you'd be evolving like a motherfucker. So sometimes you'd have to say, okay, I'm done. I'm tired of evolving this week. I'm going to stay home this week because I'm really tired of evolving. There's so many variants out there that I just don't feel like and I've done that. I said, hey, I really don't feel like going out this weekend, Jason, because I have to get this book done and I don't want to spend Monday and Tuesday trying to evolve from the people that I've been around. No offense to them, but it's just everyone has different variants that at this point right now, I get it from my husband when he's out there. So to go spend time with people on a weekend somewhere, sometimes, I know it will eventually because we can't always just stay at home. We have to be able to mix with people, but sometimes you have to meter that out. You have to control that because to evolve, just like with doing J juice, sometimes, doing J juice allows so much evolution that you have to take a rest. Well, that's the same thing with people out there with variants. You've got to take a rest from the evolution. It's those that are like, oh yeah, I'm not going to do J juice, and they don't wear a mask, and they don't social distance, and they're out there, and then they start feeling pains, and their animals start feeling pains. They're like, oh God, who has a remedy for my animal's pains? And they know about J juice, and they want to give their animal to the freaking vet. I'm just like, whatever. So, my dog, her little bubble is kind of back right now, because she's going through another evolution as well. She's been a little bit anxious, but she's been doing okay. But I could tell she's going through evolution. She's evolving every single time I evolve. Eventually that little pustule, it's a clear bubble. It'll pop and it's just water and, well, it's not really water. It has probably antibodies in it from the body rejecting the excess. And maybe it could be the microchip because she's been microchipped. I'm sure eventually, if it hasn't already come out of her body, it'll eventually come out in some way. But I have no way to tell, if she has, unless I go take her to the vet or somewhere where they can check to see if her microchip is still in there. But I have a feeling that at some point that microchip is going to work its way out. So this is just some clues on vaccinations. So they're not poisonous, okay? But not everybody can handle that evolution. And when somebody is at the end of their life, or they are in their 60s and 70s with so many predispositions, yes, you're getting some kind of growth to help you, maybe. But there's also the antagonist antibodies. There's also the atrophy of the COVID-19 algorithms. And so when your body is not allowed to evolve, guess what is inevitable? You're going to pass away. But then with the grid being turned up, and with all the electricity between the people and the new viruses in the environment, that's going to then increase the action potential, which is going to increase your aging process, accelerate it. Okay? So the viruses and the vaccines and all therapeutics are not necessarily poison. They're only poison on a body that is so freaking weak. Because I could take every single therapeutic, not that I would want to, because therapeutic is for someone who needs therapy, and I don't need therapy. But if I were to just do a little bit and do J juice, I would still be fine. The body would evolve. But I don't see a need to do therapy, because I don't need therapy in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, people that need therapy really are going to die from therapy. I mean, seriously. It's just accelerating the inevitable. So yes, I've been doing this all freaking night long. Okay? Because the body was going through its processes, and it dropped eggs in the meantime. So, my theory still stands that eventually when we're finally in a calm atmosphere, and there isn't new viruses in the environment, if I did the J juice and learned about it 10 years ago, before they released all these crazy viruses and mutating them, I could probably prove my theory that I could probably stop my period. But right now, there's no freaking way. Because every single time a new virus comes in, I'm going to drop some freaking eggs. I'm going to ovulate. So, whatever. It is what it is. But at least it's not like the PMDD like I had, which was so extreme. Just being tired and having to take a couple days off, or only working half days, I'm fine with that. I work from home anyways. I probably, at this point right now, I couldn't work in corporate America, because there's so many variants that I wouldn't want to take anything to suppress my evolution. Because that's why people are able to go back to work and have a good 20, 30, 50 years of innovation, is because they've suppressed their evolution. And relative to how many predispositions they had on the decline, it's very easy to take away symptoms that would stop you from working. And so that's why people are okay with taking all of their remedies, because they don't want to, lose their edge. But wait till you start evolving. You won't lose your edge, but you're going to have to take time for yourself. You can't give it to somebody else and sacrifice yourself. Remember, that's the slave reptilian mentality, is to basically work yourself to death for somebody else. And so in the meantime, you're sitting on a pile of cash that does nothing. It's going to go right back to the government or to the next of kin, who's just going to squander it on stupid shit, because that's what they were taught by their parents. Oh yeah, buy this fancy car. Oh, buy this really cute this, and buy this and buy that. That really does nothing except make you look like, you make a lot of money, but that's it. But then you die anyway, so what's the point? All right. So on the way down, it's easy to manage. On the way up, it's unpredictable. So when kids are being plied with remedies and with procedures, their parents have basically stilted their evolution. They're only going to rise to a certain level in society. And that's the intention. People don't want their kids to rise higher than them. And if they do, it's only a little bit, not too much. Because too much, that's too out of the box. Then you're weird, like me. But, so, and I understand why, my parents were making me sink or swim, because really, they didn't have any more of the tools and techniques to really have me rise above where they were, because they were as high as they could be. I mean, not that they had PhDs, but they were damn close to it. Okay? And so, I mean, when you're working for the government in some way or shape or form, because biotech is working for the government, being a lawyer is working for the government, being a psychotherapist is working for the government. When you work for the government, that's as high as you're going to go. Anything higher than that, you're deemed as a heretic. So yeah, so parents will not allow their kids to go too beyond what they were raised with. So that's why parents can be a detriment to their children, because of the jealousy and the weirdness. So when you watch parents just allow their kids to only evolve up to a certain level, yeah, it's ego. Major ego. So this is why I say do the Jilly juice, because that will be the infrastructure to support your evolution. I don't think Bill Gates, I don't know. This is the thing about Bill Gates. Yes, he's a billionaire. The people he works for, he's just a soldier, a protein soldier, as I call it, for the agenda of evolution. Do we know who the good guys and the bad guys are? I'm saying maybe he's breeding out all the reptilian brains, and that's probably true. Because who's going to succumb to the viruses and the vaccinations and the grid are going to be all the reptilian brains, because that's the weak people in our society. Okay, if you're afraid of the grid, if you're afraid of the vaccines, if you're afraid of the virus, then yes, it's a reptilian, because you don't have enough cushion to back up your baser level instincts. So when somebody is compromising or challenging your baser level instincts, that's all you have. You have nothing else. So of course you're going to be afraid of the environment, of people, of anything, because you're working from that mentality. You don't have a lot to work from. And so maybe at some point, because remember, Bill Gates is old, so is Klaus Schwab, so is, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. They're going to be subject to the grid, subject to everything. You now, who are on the Jilly Juice, can potentially redirect society with your example, but maybe write something in your venue about how you could really redirect society into a way that makes sense for the Jilly Juice world, if you've been watching me for a while. Because yes, in the next 50 years, we may have a utopian society where everything is smart grid and we have less people. But we need to also support the evolution. Every single time they say, okay, you got to get a vaccine because of a new variant, here is the Jilly Juice to support the vaccine, the virus, the variant, the whatever, and make a stronger population, so we don't have to have a medical holistic infrastructure to support these types of innovation. Okay? So I'm going to go do my thing. But yeah, I wanted to touch upon those three areas. About Bill Gates, that if he did the J-Juice, we could support the evolution without have all that infrastructure to then destroy the earth. And you wouldn't have people who are procreating, greed, breed, and overfeed. And you wouldn't have people dying, so you wouldn't have crime. Okay, there's a lot of pluses with the J-Juice. But we have 7 billion people we can work from. Now that we finally created our nation, now we need to make the people in the nation really, really strategic and innovative and alive. Okay, and I cover about the agonist and antagonist antibodies. They do promote life, but for a price. And if you're using holistic remedies, on your kid, you're basically causing them to only evolve to such a level in society. Because God forbid should they rise above you. God forbid. All right, bye.